those of you who may enjoy watching the right wing tear itself apart are in luck. You're eating good tonight. For the one and only Marjorie Greene is in the proverbial crosshairs of some fellow right-wingers. Now, according to the Daily Beast, over the past week, far-right pundits have been taking shots at the Georgia representative while she was vacationing in Costa Rica. Wait, Costa Rica is not in the United States of America. Marjorie Greene, I thought you were America first. Aren't you vacationing in Texas? I know, it's a ridiculous point. But anyway, first up to go after Marjorie Greene is Ali Alexander on Telegram. Here's what she said, or I'm sorry, he said about Marjorie Greene. MTG wants to protect McCarthy from being removed if he is elected speaker. There is something so odd about what's going on between McCarthy and MTG. I've only ever seen it once before, seen anything like it. It may be time for me to intervene. Ali Alexander, what are you going to do? I mean, what do you mean intervene? That sounds very, very strange. Very strange indeed. What, you going to call the gazpacho police?
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
I don't understand. But, oh, okay, all right, whatever. Or maybe he'll just, well, he can't really tweet, can he? Does he even have a Twitter account? I don't know. But he'll certainly post things on Telegram. Now, he also, by the way, one of the things he posted was referring to her as a trailer park hood rat. Not kidding. So now that was in response of her actually hitting back at Lauren Boebert. Now, I showed you the video, I believe it was last week, where Lauren Boebert, was making fun of Marjorie Greene because Marjorie Greene is supporting Kevin McCarthy. The whole fight is just over how they disagree about who's going to lead House Republicans. So on that, right-wing radio host Stu Peters weighed in. Here's what he said. Quote, I see you've stopped talking about dildos and butt plugs. Wow.
Sexual anarchy.
Okay. All right, then.
Tallywhacker.
Okay. Sure. That's fun. Now, in a phone interview with the Daily Beast, Peters then continued to rip into her. He said this. Marjorie is not America first, but regrettably a faker and a liar who raised millions claiming she would impeach Biden. For what? Whatever they can come up with. And now backs the man for speaker who refuses to impeach Biden, he said Friday evening. Again, what are you impeaching Biden for? I don't quite understand. And by the way, what would you hope to accomplish? I mean, it would be nothing more than a political stunt. Which, let's be fair. I mean, Republicans have promised to do all sorts of political stunts once they retake the House. Investigation after investigation, et cetera, et cetera. All right, well, sure. Now, he also referenced the allegation that Greene had an affair with a tantric sex guru ahead of her recent divorce. Look, you see what I'm talking about when I say Republicans are vicious, right? They're vicious to Democrats. They're also vicious to each other. Nothing for them seems to be off the table. It's like, at some point, and I would almost bet money on this, at some point, one of Marjorie Greene's enemies are going to accuse her of grooming children. Again, nothing's off the table. Now, that said, I generally do not care about the sex lives of others. I really, really don't. I don't care if Marjorie Greene had an affair. I don't care if she had 10 affairs with like 10 tantric sex gurus at one time. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, if you want to, though, attack her on something, okay, go after her on hypocrisy. And there is plenty of hypocrisy where Marjorie Greene is concerned, all the rhetoric about how, she's a good Christian woman and, she's the weaker member of the weaker sex. Yes, those are her words, where, she basically says, I'm nothing more than a rib woman. And I am, only supposed to serve my husband. Well, now there's ex-husband. There's a little bit of schadenfreude here, and I do enjoy it. But, whatever. That said, Stu Peters, of course, they're going to say some really misogynistic things. He then referred to her as a quote-unquote two-bit whore. They can't help themselves with the misogyny. They can't do it. They can't not do it. It's part of their DNA. They have to say misogynistic things. Okay, so she likely had an affair. Doesn't matter. Yes, she's guilty of being a hypocrite, along with a lot of the other so-called family values Republicans. Yes. Is this surprising? No, not at all. Not at all. But anyway, there's more. Former Right Side Broadcasting Network host turned failed Republican congressional candidate, fun sentence to say, Mike Crispy, apparently left him in the oven too long, suggested that Greene was being blackmailed by Kevin McCarthy somehow, for some reason, which he then called the only logical explanation for her fervent support. Quote, all she does is bully and try to discredit. Okay, here's what I think happened. And again, it's all speculative, right? You probably just promised her some committee assignments. That's it for her support. That's the kind of congressional horse trading that goes on all the time. Now, if you have a problem with that, I'm in agreement with you, right? Yes, support me and I will give you special treatment. Even if you're not qualified to be on the committee, we don't care. You show me loyalty and I will reward you. And look, this happens in Congress. You're dumb if you don't think it doesn't. On both sides, by the way, of course, right? They have some very strict hierarchies, when it comes to who's going to have what committee chairmanship or who's going to be, the number 2 Democrat or Republican in the House, etc. Who's next in line. And that's all internal BS politics, of course, right? So I just think it's one of those, hey, Marjorie, if you support my bid for speaker, then I will give you your committee assignments. But apparently, Mike Crispy, again, his brain seems to be fried, overly crispy, extra crispy, thinks, no, it's a conspiracy theory. Why is everything a conspiracy theory? What? It doesn't make any sense to me. But look, that said, maybe Crispy knows something. But I struggle to imagine what she would be blackmailed for. I don't know. But, okay. Finally, we have Nick Fuentes. Now, Nick Fuentes, of course, also can't help himself. He now refers to Marjorie Taylor Greene as Large Marge. Now, we've all seen Marjorie Greene. What's large about her? What? Like, why you gotta be like that? What? Why you gotta be fat shaming someone who, by the way, is not fat? Or fat shaming at all. But again, it's Nick Fuentes. He's a terrible person. So, of course, he's going to do this. Again, they can't help themselves. They have to be like the worst people in the world and make me defend someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I do not want to do. I do not want to defend her. Why do you make me do these things? Why? These people, they're not very clever. The Nick Fuenteses of the world. You can't come up with a good nickname, or even like a half-decent nickname. You could make fun of her for all the weird food references she makes. I mean, come on.
Peachtree dish. Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
You could talk about that. How she seems to, talk about fragrance.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
Fragrantly. You could be like, okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene's. Apparently she is very, very focused on food. Like every time she talks, I don't know, maybe she's hungry. Never do an interview before lunch, apparently. I don't know. And look, there's this, one, I guess, example. Okay, sure. I'm sure people could come up with way better nicknames. But come on, Large Marge? That's a Pee Wee Herman character, by the way. And she doesn't really have much of a Pee Wee Herman character vibe to her. But anyway, Fuentes, nonetheless, has encouraged his white nationalist groypers to heckle Greene at campaign events, which I actually don't have an issue with. Okay, you want to heckle somebody, like, that happens, right? In a crowd, all right, sure. Finally, though, we've got Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, who went on a tour with Marjorie Greene. So they went on tour together and spent a bunch of money. Or I should say, lost a bunch of money, because there's supposed to be a fundraising tour. They actually spent more than they took in. But anyway, apparently supporting Kevin McCarthy is too much for Matt Gaetz.
And whatever Kevin has promised Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guarantee you this: at the first opportunity, he will zap her faster than you could say Jewish space laser. And I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the conduct and it is the pattern and practice of Kevin McCarthy over years that showcase this.
Look, I love it when they always bring up the space lasers. Remember, that's the thing that she was obviously most famous for. Later on, when they finally go. Yeah, she talked about forest fires in California being started by Jewish space lasers. Oh, I love it. Oh, Republican crime. Best crime. The most fun crime. But again, when it comes to all of these Republican versus Republican fights, especially over who's going to be speaker and who's supporting who, I just say, let them fight. Let them fight.